Hello my dear health seekers, Inga from Health Origins here, and today I'm gonna show you an exciting, hopefully yummy recipe, because I haven't made this specific recipe myself, but I can't see how it wouldn't work, right? I'm gonna be making pesto bread rolls. So I made a batch of pesto, so this is my basil cashew pesto, except that it's made with almond nuts in this instance because I ran out of cashew, but I'll link to the pesto recipe for you in the description below and in the card above. So I've got a big batch of pesto, so I wanted to make this pesto bread rolls with whole grain flour. So let's begin. So it seems like a very easy recipe. So I've got 1 cup of warm water, 1 cup and 2 tablespoons it says. So it's just over 1 cup of water I've added here. And then I've got 1 packet or 2.5 teaspoons of dried active yeast. And then we need 2 tablespoons of sugar. So I'm going to add the sugar in there, like that. I'm gonna mix it in with my silicone whisk. It's getting a little bit frothy, and so I'll let it sit here until we measure out the flour. So I've got strong wholemeal bread flour, but I don't have enough for the whole recipe. But I've also got some fine plain English wholemeal flour, so this is like a more finer flour for you know, cake baking, pastries as well, but I'm gonna mix the two. So we need 3 to 4 cups of bread flour. So I'm gonna obviously use all the bread flour I've got, and then we're gonna add up a little bit whatever I'm missing from the fine flour. So you want to loosely have 4 cups. So this is 1, 2, so this is nearly 2 3/4 of a cup of this flour. So I'm gonna add up to make 3 cups here. It's got a little bit lumpy in that one, but it'll distribute. So 3 cups, and I'm gonna do half a cup, because you need to reserve half a cup. So I'm gonna do 3.5, and then I'm gonna reserve half a cup for putting on the surface when we're going to be kneading the dough. And I'm also going to put 1 teaspoon of salt into the flour here and mix it in. So it's very, very simple and easy. So you just make a kind of warm water with yeast and 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then mix in the salt into the flour, and we're gonna just add it in and start working it in. So I've got my dough, my little dough mix, but you could do it with just spatula or a spoon until it starts kind of coming together a bit more. So, and then once it becomes a bit more cohesive dough, then you can start kneading by hand if you prefer. This is actually quite dryish, because we'll see, I might need to add a little bit more water, because The recipe did say 2 tablespoons of oil as well, but I've omitted that. So we'll see if I need to add a couple more tablespoons of liquid here. So just giving it a knead. So now we need to knead this dough until it becomes kind of soft and a bit more glossy. So about 5 to 10 minutes it says. We'll see. I mean, if you've got a proper stand mixer, then with or you've got dough hook attachment to your hand mixer as well, you could do that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to need any much more flour because it's looking quite stiff already. So I think I need to kind of make sure I knead it well to make it softer. And I'm not adding any more flour at the minute because it's fairly dry. I'm just gonna empty the bowl itself, and yeah, so it doesn't stick. But if yours is quite wet dough, so then obviously sprinkle some flour and keep on kneading until you work in pretty much all the flour. I mean, obviously if you can't work in all the flour, like I say, because we didn't add 2 tablespoons of oil, and also I kind of maybe had a cup of water rather than a cup and 2 tablespoons, so I had a little bit less water probably than what the recipe was saying. So we'll see. I think I might need to add a little bit more water just so that it's a little bit softer, and then I can always add a little bit more flour if I need to. So, but I'm just gonna work it the way it is and see if it actually softens on its own. So the way I like kneading it, I kind of make a shape like this, and I grab a piece and I just kind of fold it onto itself. I press and tear it and then fold it, and then do again from this side as well. So I press and fold, kind of stretching it. So you're stretching gluten both ways, both that way and that way, because I'm changing direction. So yeah, so give it a good knead. I'm gonna see if I need any more liquid. It's feeling quite good. I think it's slightly softening. I think I'm gonna add a couple more tablespoons, so just so that it's a little bit more pliable and doesn't tear kind of dryish looking. So a couple of tablespoons of water should do. And once you do it a few times, I'm sure you'll start feeling how the dough actually feels like, and if it needs more water or not. So I'll actually just add a tablespoon at a time and see, you know, if that's going to be enough. And I keep it in the bowl just so that while it's wet, try and work that tablespoon of water into the whole dough. Yeah, it's 1 more tablespoon. Sorry, I did a teaspoon, didn't I? Sorry, so tablespoon. That should do it. Yeah, I might need to add more flour, but we'll see. Yeah, so now it's feeling a bit more moist. It's sliding in the bowl, but the gluten will kind of absorb some of that water as it stands and as it rises. So I've kneaded the dough for about 3-4 minutes, and it's gotten quite soft, and I've made it into a nice kind of round shape, and I'm gonna put it in a smaller bowl here. I'll just put some flour in the bottom, add the dough ball, and so that to stop it drying out, I'm going to put a silicone cover on this, but you could just put some tea towel so it can rise but it doesn't dry out. So I'm going to put my silicone cover, and I'm going to leave this in room temperature for about 1 hour so that it doubles in size, and then we're gonna continue. So it's been an hour and the dough has risen quite well. It's about double the size. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna flour my bench here. And also my rolling pin. And we're going to be actually going to make more space because we're going to be rolling quite a long, thin shape here. Quite a wide, thin shaped dough. So I'm going to take the dough out. It's nice and kind of, you could feel the bubbles. And I'm gonna just carefully roll out into a rectangle. Try and stretch it a little bit. So just roll into a rectangle the best you can. And you want a thin layer, you don't want it thick. So I'll just keep on rolling until it's quite thin. And I'm gonna just actually roll it that way as well, just to thin out properly. Might not be an exact square, but as close to a square as you can get is good. It probably helps if you kind of square off the dough before you start rolling, because I just roll from like a round one. Can you tell that I haven't got much experience in making this yet? So, but the recipe seems fairly easy, so hopefully it works out well first time. So that's fairly thin. About 1/4 inch, I would say. Well, 1 centimeter, well, 1/2 centimeter thick batter dough, sorry, even. And I'm gonna now cover all of it with the lovely pesto. So by the way, I mentioned that I made this pesto with almonds this time rather than cashews because I ran out. So what I did, I poured boiling water over my almonds and let them soak with that for about a couple of hours, and then I've just took the skins off of the almonds so that they were white. They've gone really nice and plump, and then I've basically used them instead of cashews in the recipe. So fairly simple, and the difference between cashews and almonds is that almonds retain a little bit more kind of grittiness or bite to it. It doesn't go as creamy as the cashews normally do, but it's still actually really as delicious. So both almonds and cashews work really well. So I'm just gonna continue and finish putting a thin layer of this pesto all over this dough. So that looks great. Now we need to get on with rolling. So I'm gonna start with a smaller side and then just do very kind of small tight roll here and just roll away, slightly pressing it a little bit, not too much, just rolling. Oh, I can't wait for this. Should be really good. And now what we need to do, I need to get myself a piece of string, or if you have dental floss that's not flavored, you don't want no mint flavor on your pesto bread rolls. So I'm gonna get myself a piece of just sewing string, and we're gonna cut these into about inch kind of height little rolls. So I've got my string here. I'm gonna get a piece off and I'm gonna slice it into, actually the recipe I've looked at said 2-inch pieces, so I'll probably just do it in half first. Try and cut it. I've never actually cut it with a string before, that's quite interesting. Or you could cut it with a very sharp knife as well. I've seen people do like this. There we go, I've got it. So put that on, roll it round, and then you actually twist it round. Yeah, I've been doing it wrong. And then you twist it kind of over each other, and then you just split it like that. Perfect. Yay! I remembered how you're supposed to do that. So you wrap the string around, cross it over, and then just slice it, and it nicely cuts itself. Look at that, beautiful. Much better than my first sewing attempt. And put them about 1 centimeter or half an inch apart, and I'm putting them onto a baking silicone sheet here, so about centimeter apart apparently. And then I'm gonna cut this up as well. So I'll do into half, and then that halves will go into other halves again. This is brilliant how easy it is to cut with a string once you know the technique, right? So yeah, so you just split it that way. Perfect. So placing them next to each other. Perfect. So I'm going to put these close here, and I'm going to leave these, I'm going to cover them with a towel in room temperature and let them expand a little bit more for about 15 minutes, and then for the last 5 minutes I'm going to preheat the oven as well. And then gonna bake them for about 25-30 minutes. So I'll show you what they're like once they have risen for the second time, about 15 minutes. So my bread rolls have had a second rise, so it was about 20 minutes. These have been rising, and as you can see, they met each other pretty much. I left like about a centimetre gap between each of them before, and they almost closed it up now. So I've heated my oven on 175 degrees Celsius, and I'm gonna put them in for about 25 to 35 minutes, depending, you know, how kind of quickly they're gonna rise and brown up. So once they start browning, then that's a good time to take them out. So between 25 and 35 minutes. So let's check again then. So as you can see, we've got the bread rolls here, and I've got my taste tester. It's too late.
Hi guys.
It's too late for me to taste test it because it's quite late tonight, but Mark is willing to sacrifice.
I'll do what I need to do for you guys.
So yeah, so it's looking and smelling delicious, isn't it? Like the
the
whole kitchen was actually smelling. So I baked these for 25 minutes initially, and then I gave it another 7 minutes, so that's what, 32 minutes, right? So it's between 25 and 35 minutes, the original recipe that I was following said. So yeah, so these look like nice and browned at the top, as you can see. I'll zoom in for you. But yeah, just tear the small piece and just give it a go. It'll probably be a bit hot.
That's going to be very hot. But
well, just maybe carefully tear it.
Mm.
Is it cooked through?
Mm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, let's give you a little close up. Yeah, so it's looking good. Yeah, it looks like it's definitely cooked through, guys.
It's really tasty, and the pesto just kind of gives it a little bit of an edge. It's not like a lot of flavour from the pesto, obviously, because it's just a kind of slight covering, but it just gives it that extra something. I don't know, I'm still holding that. Oh, so good, especially straight out of the oven, you know.
Yeah, so it's good to have it with salad or soup, you know, or just on its own, right?
I was just going to say on its own, it's fabulous as well. So
yeah, so it worked, guys. I used up my bread flour that I had, bit of extra flour that I needed to add, and yeah, pesto wholemeal bread rolls. It's a success, yeah. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video, if you like the recipe, and let me know what you thought of it when you tried it. And if you're new here, guys, subscribe for more videos just like this on Wednesdays, and Meal Prep for Weight Loss show on Saturdays. And remember, food is fuel.
So be mindful of what you put in the body.
Yeah, that one. And don't speak with your mouth full. So yeah, enjoy, and see you next time.
Bye guys.